Can you dive deeper into that? What does that mean? Nothing is inanimate. I mean, that's just mind blowing. And how did that transform the way you think of yourself?
Well, it knocked my socks off too, Linnell, for what that's worth. And yeah, it's that everything, as you say, everything is consciousness. Like nothing, there isn't anything that's a quote object. Like nothing is outside of this totality that we call life, that we call, whatever. This is where, our language breaks down because we don't really have the words for it.
Yeah.
But this reality that we participate in, that we are of, is vibrant. It's alive. It's constantly giving expression to itself in like an infinite number of forms that come forth into some manifestation in the material world, and then they fade away to join back into this wider matrix. So everything, nothing stands outside of that. Everything is that and is participating as an expression of that. And so even like the things that we would call an object, that everything comes from this matrix.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the mind, when we're in that illusion of separateness, the mind, it's like we bifurcate that wholeness in our own. We can't actually do that. That wholeness can never be bifurcated, but we can bifurcate it in our own awareness. And so we can like put on one side the things that are breathing, and we'll call those living, and we'll put on the other side everything that isn't breathing, and we'll call that, inanimate. But it's all the same thing. And this is where the language, just our language can't really convey it. And oftentimes when we try to use language, we just kind of get tripped up, and it's just impossible. So in answer to your other question, how has that shifted? Here's the very weird thing about having experiences like this for myself. I get up in the morning, and I make my breakfast, and I engage in these very quote mundane activities. I have to navigate the 3D world. And how does one live in that state in which everything is just this huge flux? And how do you live in a state of like just having your mind blown by this state of bliss? How do you do that? And get in the car and drive to the grocery store and do what you need to do there. So for me, yeah, and I'm perhaps, I'm still, learning how to hold both of those together in the same moment. I'm not that good at it yet. I sort of like do this, back and forth and back and forth. I can enter into that state and tap into that. And for me, really, it's the heart center where that happens. It's like constantly available to me, and it's where I palpably experience that state of oneness, that state of union, that state of communion, that state of love. So I can tune in with that, and I can take my heart. I do take my heart center to the grocery store. But, when I have to, choose which cereal I'm going to get, I'm not focused there. I'm focused on the, like, so I don't know. It's just bizarre. Being human, I think, is really a weird kind of an experience. And we all signed up for it, and we have to live in that paradox.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you don't ask the cereal on your heart when having a
I'm
conversation.
going to try that. I actually
Well,
am going
I'm
to
going
try
to
that.
admit something that I shouldn't say on public message, but I'm going to admit when I go to the supermarket, when I go to pick out vegetables and fruit, things that are fresh, sometimes I'll pick up the tomato and I'll say, not out loud, because I'll say to myself, does this tomato want to become a human? Because
Mm,
there is something about, which I don't understand I'm not a scientist, but there is something about this movement into different states. And part of it is an understanding of Hinduism in a story of that. But the it is food that keeps us that we can't live without food and water. I mean, in this organic sentient state, and there is this transformation going on. And sometimes when I go to the supermarket, I'll pick up something and I'll say, well, I wonder if this one would like to be human or that one would like to be human. Now, I know that's a little crazy, but I can't believe I just said that on.
I love it. I love it. And I don't think it's crazy at all. And we have a roof deck on our house here in Philly, and I grow some vegetables up there. And when I go up to harvest, say, the spinach, first of all, I thank it for its ability to transform light into substance.
Isn't that amazing?
It's remarkable. And my body doesn't do that.
Right.
So I'm like, thank you so much. And I also have that sense of of that, like yes, I'm going to be taking in the spinach and receiving the nutrients that it so miraculously has
Right.
been able
Right.
to bring forth. And in doing that, then it is going to have a human experience as well. So yeah, and that's a great example of how,
Yeah.
everything is
It's a
like,
little crazy. Yes. Yes.
it
Yes.
is crazy from that, from the vantage point of the way, consensual reality, if we want to use that term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I remember Thomas Berry saying at one point that photosynthesis has to be one of the greatest miracles of the universe ever.
truly.
That communication that's going on between a sun that is, I don't know how many gajillions of miles away, that can attract a root, a seed in the ground, up and out, and create. I probably maybe because maybe because I grew up in New York. That's a whole other story. Okay, I'm really going off here, Liddell. My apologies. I would like to. Well, it's a sort of a shift. I was so happy to see you use this phrase. Uh, the divine feminine and Christ consciousness are on the rise as humanity awakens to the truth of our interconnectedness and interdependence with all reality. I'm particularly interested in the relationship or how you understand that phrase, the divine feminine in Christ consciousness. Can you say more?
Yeah. So my experience of the divine feminine is an energy that, here again, the words, right? It's not like the yang or the male focused energy. It's more of like a if I make a gesture and a word comes to either of you, please don't hesitate to offer it. But it's more like
Expansive,
Diffuse.
nurturing.
Diffuse.
it's diffuse, and it's also receptive.
Mm.
Like it's not like focused on like a particular point. It envelops everything. It's more so okay, here's a metaphor that offers itself. It's the difference between a laser and a light bulb. I think of the laser as like the energy of like more the masculine, more focused, and the light bulb is more global, more radiant. So I experience the energy that way. And it's not an energy that has to make anything happen or accomplish anything. It is complete in itself. And so it's that state of being that doesn't have to do, because it just from its own beingness, things arise. Things arise. And so for me, that feels very aligned with the phrase or the term Christ consciousness, because that also is, it's universal, it's global, it enfolds and encompasses everything. It is everything. So also I feel as though, you know, part of, I believe, what we're here to do is to learn how to embody and bring into expression both of these, you know, to this global energy that can receive everything. Here's something else about the divine feminine that I experience. It's like that energy that can embrace and take into itself everything, and that everything becomes transmuted within this feminine energy, and it becomes transmuted into, you know, love itself. So I sense, or maybe that's just me, I want to, in my own life, live into the ability to be in touch with that feminine energy and allow it to flow through me into a particularity of form, of like specificity. So to take like the universal and to allow it to become the specific, the individual in that sense. And I share in the book this this dream that I had that was one of the most important dreams that I've ever had. And I've had some pretty big dreams. Dreams have been huge in my own spiritual path. But this one dream where, just cutting to the end of the dream, but there is this archetypal figure, female figure arises, like this male figure morphs into this female figure. And I, in the dream, perceive her as a dire threat to the entire world. And I feel compelled to try to stop her. I see her as evil, as the embodiment of evil, and it's on me to stop her. And so I go up to her in this very like heroic move, right? It's up to me to save the world, right? So, and I bring my arms up and my eyes roll back in my head, and I bring my arms down, and I'm going to zap her with my spiritual energy, right? And I do this. I try to zap her. She is completely unfazed. And I feel myself being enveloped in her energy, and I'm paralyzed. And that's when she says something that at that point in my life, I heard as a curse. She says to me, oh, I say, I don't need, it's something like, I don't need divine strength because God's spirit is in me, something like that. And she says back to me, oh yeah? Soon you will know no one. And in the dream, I feel myself catapulted out into this void, out into the great void all by myself. You will know no one. And as I unpacked that dream, and it was decades before I began to understand what it was about, but it wasn't a curse. She was, soon you will know no one. You will know no one. There's no one individual. Nothing is alone. And you will come to know that there is no one. And I feel now that she was a depiction of the divine feminine that is emerging in our time. And the mind that has been so instilled with patriarchal patterns sees her, perceives her as evil and a dire threat, and she needs to be
Absolutely.
stopped.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think that's a lot of what is playing out right now is the urgent and futile attempt to stop the emergence of the divine feminine.
Right.
And we see it expressing itself in the suppression of women and all of that.